S.Sgt Minnis. My S.O. 369 war is 95% boredom and then that 5% action. Yeah, the Taliban is a living, breathing, smart enemy, and right now what I miss most is a California burrito.
Get the fuck out of here. That was right over our fucking head.
My job right now currently is I'm a mobile platoon commander for the company. That involves 4 vehicles, 3 MATVs and 1 MRAP. The difference in between the vehicles are the aspects of what they're capable of doing. The MRAP's more capable of taking a bigger blast, but moves slower, and the MATV is capable of moving a lot faster, but taking a lot less of a blast. Essentially what I am for the company is the taxi service. We call it the yellow cab. What that entails is obviously moving logistics around the battlefield, and also we transport casualties, what have you, and anything that needs to be transported, we're the main source for the company.
Where are you from in the world?
I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, or everyone says Atlanta, Georgia, but more so I'm born in Fort Benning. My dad was in the Army, so I'm an Army brat by trade. And then I obviously traveled across, my dad being in the Army, and obviously me joining the military, do a lot of travel.
What made you come to the Marine Corps? What were your thoughts?
Believe it or not, I didn't want to go to college. So a lot of people say 9/11 had an impact whether they joined the Marine Corps, but it really didn't. I just didn't want to go to college and end up getting in the military and start doing more schooling than in college. So I ended up going to college while in the military. I just didn't want to go to school.
What were your thoughts thinking back to 9/11? Your first reaction? Where were you? What age? What was going on in your life?
I was a senior in high school. Yeah, senior in high school. It was in the morning, obviously, on the East Coast. The West Coast haven't woken up yet, so we were sitting in class. I think it was first and second period. It was a tragedy, but
you believe it? You believe what was happening? You seen it on TV? Or?
I did. But at the same time, if it doesn't directly affect you, then it really doesn't affect you. But it was one of those things where you're aghast at the same time. You're like, wow, this really is happening. Then, as more of the work got out, it made you start thinking about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what you're doing with your life, I guess. But it was an eye opener for me. It was very shocking that it could happen on American soil. But
were you thinking about the Marine Corps prior to that event?
I had already joined the delayed entry program, so I was a part of the delayed entry program almost a year before that happened. I was delayed entry my junior year of high school.
So you're thinking you're going to get into some action?
Yeah, definitely. I knew that. Yeah. My primary MOS was 0311, so I was born and raised to be in the dirt. It's fun. It takes a wear and tear on your body, but it's fun. Enjoy it.
Looking back at your childhood, anything that motivated you to be in the Marine Corps or in the military? Anything in particular that you can think back and say that was a distinct impact that made me want to get into the military? I
think it was my life in general. Just growing up, everyone doubts you, and I'm a big believer of I want people to doubt me because it makes me thrive on that. So it was a combination of both people saying, you're not going to make it, or you're not going to do it, or why you're doing it, just to prove people wrong, I guess. Know that I can do it, and here I am being successful and having a success.
Sure. Any favorite actor or somebody that's inspired you in your life that's kind of been like a motivating factor? Yeah,
my mentor. He's a great mentor. He's an awesome dude. If any time I ever had a problem from the time I joined the Marine Corps up until now, I could call on him. So shouts out to Major Diorio. He's with 2-4 right now, XO. He is a blessing in disguise. He's, like I said, a brilliant man, a brilliant tactician, and then outside of the Marine Corps, he just a man of wisdom. So obviously my pops, pat him on the back, he did a great job with me, but on aspects of the military life and aspects of someone I can always call on and depend on no matter where I am in my time frame, I'd say Major Frank Diorio.
Where's he from?
Diorio is originally from, God, I don't know, that sounds bad, I know.
I know Diorio.
I can't even recall right now. I know where he is, but I can't even recall where he's from.
What do you miss most about back home?
Right now, what I miss most is the California burrito. No, my sister just had a little boy. He's 1.5 now, and just being an uncle, that to me was made me happy. He's just a bundle of joy. The expressions he makes and Everything I hear back home, that's what I miss the most. She just told me a story about him loving to mess around with the toilet, and he fell in once already, so I laughed about it. She showed me a picture about it, but that's probably what I miss the most. Let me backtrack. I don't miss that the most. I miss my wife the most. I'll say that she'll kill me. But yeah, definitely the bundle of joy for my
Any
nephew.
kids?
No kids. 3 dogs. That's enough. That's enough. So,
what kind of dogs you got?
3 labs, black, white, and chocolate. So.
Now the area you grew up, was it urban or rural?
It was urban. We floated a lot, but the most part of it was the suburbs. Like suburbs of Atlanta is what most of us know. I finished out my high school career in the suburbs of Atlanta. It's called a city called Alpharetta. So the Alpharetta Roswell area, it's about 25 to 30 minutes away from Atlanta. So.
Do you relate to this area, Sangin, in any way? Like the people kind of...
Back home?
Yeah, is there any relation, any correlation?
You know what, a lot of people say Afghanistan is unsafe and unstable, but I completely disagree. Every time we drive down the streets, we see 3 or 4 year olds walking down the street without their parents. And them being happy about life. And I think a lot of that has to do with them not knowing the American culture and how blessed we are. But I think this place is as safe place as in America. You'll never see a 3 or 4 year old walking the streets by themselves in America. Or, you go to the shops and they just leave their shops open at night knowing that no one's going to steal anything. Is it a dangerous and chaotic place because we're in war? Yeah, but that's what a lot of people fail to understand. War is 95% boredom and then that 5% action if you're that lucky. So I don't think, I relate it back home in the aspects of it's just as dangerous as America because of the job we do. But besides that, it's just another place in the States or another place in this world that's nice to visit. I get to see the stars every night. You can't say that about being back at home. So
What's tell me about some of your worst days here, scariest days.
I don't have too many. Maybe it's because I've been on a block of the run. This is my first combat deployment. But worst days is having the medevac Marines, whether it's just a gunshot wound or an amputee. Those are probably the worst days I have to see because that's one of your brothers, and it really is a big brotherhood that we have. So you get to know these people, not as Marines but as human beings, and then have to see them with their body destroyed. I mean, like it takes a burden on people, and you can see their inspection. It takes about a good 24 to 48 hours for the Marines to get back to the norm, so to speak. So I think those are the worst days. Besides the platoons driving me crazy with logistical requirements. But,
right.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the better days you've had here. Something that's happened that brought a smile to your face.
Brought a smile on my face. I don't know. Looking out there and seeing that what Sangin was and to now what it is, I'm like, this was a shithole, so to speak. None of the locals wanted anything to do with Americans because they're afraid of the Taliban. And now every patrol that goes out, even when we're driving, they're running up to us, and the very little English they understand, they're talking in or always asking us for chocolate, stuff like that. So to see what 3-5 left behind to what it's come over in the span of, I guess, 2.5, 3 months is bring a smile on my face. To see people doing well and actually enjoying it.
Were you here for the Riptoa?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the turnover of 3-5. What were some of the sentiments, your feelings as far as...
I got lucky. My best bud I actually did a rip with, so shouts out Michael Giglio. We did a rip together. They were, and bless their souls, they were just beat. They've been a run-of-the-mill. They took this over from a battalion that was also beaten because they were in the run of things. Everyone knows the story about Sangin, and they're a part of it for good reasons. So they are ready to get out of here as so they deserve. The Marines were just beat up, and it was hard to see the Marines dwindle down to nothing, like bone skinny. Well, not bone skinny, but pretty darn skinny. And the life that they were living, these guys were living like hobos, just bouncing back and forth. So it was hard to see, but it was good to see them there. Happy to see our face, which was a good thing. But the rip went smoothly, as smooth as it can be expected, and they gave us a lot of knowledge. And one, it being from, I guess, our sister battalion back in California, two being that they wanted to set us up for success. So that being said, it was a pretty good rip, I think. Yeah. Better rips than we were expecting. We were expecting 1 or 2 day changeover, and we ended up getting like 2 weeks. So
my acronyms have fallen off. RIPTOA is a replacement in place. What is it? What stand for again?
RIPTOA is it's almost a relief in place.
Relief in place. Turnover of authority.
Turnover of authority. So.
All right. Knowing that you were coming here, what was your wife's reaction, family reaction, knowing that Sangin is notoriously kinetic area?
I try to keep it out of the limelight. I told them it's just, my family is not big on the news per se. My wife, my other side of the family is though, however, my wife and her mother and whatnot, so they knew a lot about it. But on my side of the family, they didn't know too much about it, and that's why I like to keep it. I tell them, hey, we're going to a place that they got freaking showers 24/7 and hot meals 24/7 is what I tell them. And besides that, I don't think they really need to know what we do or don't do. It's just one, it sits in the back of their head, oh, he's in danger, what about him? And then they start looking at the news 24/7. So I try to say, hey, everything's fine, and if something's not fine, they're obviously been notified. So
Right.
they don't know too much about Sangin.
How do you mentally prepare yourself knowing you're going out in the AO that anything can happen?
I mentally prepare myself with jokes, joking around with the boys, doing crazy stuff. I don't want them to be worried about it because there's a lot of things in this world that you can't control, and hitting the IED is one of them. You can't control it, so why worry about it? Worry about the things you can control, and that's, hey, if you're doing all the right things and the bad thing happened, then it was just that time. So we joke around a lot, we throw the ball a lot, we got gloves in our vehicle, baseball gloves, especially since baseball season is right around the corner. I'm a big Braves fan, so go Braves. Just having a good time and enjoying life while we can, because you never know what's around that corner.
Thinking about Sangin in a bigger picture and its intrinsic value to the Taliban, do you feel that this is a key element in securing this area? That'll be a key into winning the war here, or do you think they're going to move to another agriculture area?
Not at all. I don't think Sangin it's a big aspect in the big puzzle. This is just me thinking outside the box. The reason the Taliban held up here is because of the agriculture area. They can have an effect on it. They could hide, they could jump, hide inside the cornfields and whatever else flows out here. But the aspect, I'm like, the more built up cities, Sangin is not a huge city, say like Kabul, so it's not going to have a huge impact, I say, for the Taliban. They're just going to bounce for another agriculture area and move on. Sangin is a small suburb, if you will, like back in the States. So.
What would be 3 things you'd like to see benefiting Afghanistan based on all the efforts and sacrifices made by the Marines that would benefit this country long term? A lot of people say security, education.
A lot of people say that, but I honestly want what the people want. I don't think it's our job to come here and impose that American-style culture or that Western-style culture on them. It's not what the people want, and if we go about it that way, then we're going to essentially lose this battle. That's what the Russians try to do, and so on and so forth to try to do. What I think our biggest thing here is to see what the people want, and Captain Brock is a great, our company commander is great and notorious on that. He'll sit down and go to all these shuras and say, hey, what do you guys want? All right, for you guys to have this, however, you got to promise us our security. And that's the way I think we go about building Afghanistan. The people know what they want here, and security, yes, is a part of it, but they also want to be left alone. They want their culture intact. They don't want that westernized culture. And if we understand that and focus on that, I think we'll win the people over, and winning the people over eventually gets the troops out of here because they're more willing to take a liking to their country.
Do you feel that the farmers here are being exploited by the Taliban, or do you feel that they're kind of on the fence, kind of going between both sides?
Of course they've been exploited by the Taliban. The Taliban know, hey, if I give you these poppy seeds and I jack up the rate for the poppy that I want produced, and if you don't give it to me, then A, I'll burn your crops, or B, I'll hold your family hostage. I'm not saying they're doing one or the other, but they know that they're going to be in debt to the Taliban. So to alleviate that process, I think the military is doing a great job of saying, hey, don't plant poppy, plant corn, plant wheat, plant beans. That way they can't be exploited. But yeah, the Taliban is a living, breathing, smart enemy, and they're going to continue to be smart. And they just refine their TTPs.
Do you feel the Taliban's kind of being frustrated by our discovery of a lot of the IEDs? We seem to be, the engineers seem to be popping out a lot of them, and then they're kind of attacking us sporadically to kind of push us into that kill zone. Do you think they're getting frustrated with our ability to find their IEDs?
I think their frustration shows. What I mean by that is thanks to our engineers and our platoons out there, they're doing a hell of a job. Those boys deserve the kudos. They're finding IEDs left and right. We got over a 95% find rate, which is absurd. And I say an IED fed area of operation out there. So them getting frustrated, they just start doing sporadic things like sporadic gunfire and half placing in IEDs because they don't want to get caught, or they know they're going to be discovered. So